In this video, I'm breaking down a disgusting carpet and upholstery detail I did a while ago. I'm going to show you guys the exact process, step-by-step technique, as well as tools and products, but later I want to have a business conversation about setting packages, setting prices, and how to deal with this on the phone with a customer before you ever see the car in person. What's going on, guys? Luke here with Wilson Auto Detailing. I want to jump straight into this. What you can see is not just carpet and upholstery being destroyed in this type of car, but you can also see everything else in this car is disgusting. Now, in this video, I'm only highlighting the carpet and the upholstery. And the first thing I want to highlight here is that I'm doing this because that's what the customer cares about most. In the detailing world, what a lot of detailers do in the beginning stages in particular is they have a very hard time satisfying customers over the phone because they've developed packages and pricing that doesn't necessarily fit what the customer is asking for, and they don't have a sort of ready response to customers on the phone that allows them to, in some sense, customize the job to that customer, but in another sense, not so much customize it, and I'll explain what I mean in just a second. The reason I'm only doing the carpet and the upholstery is because the customer in this particular scenario doesn't want the entire job done because they don't want to pay for that. And so because of that, I step off of certain services that I offer in a classic interior detail in order to satisfy the parts of the interior that she is most concerned with, and given the condition of the car, the parts of the interior that are going to make the entire condition when I'm done look the best. In this scenario, it's the upholstery and the carpet. Now, more on that later. Let me break down the tools and the products. You're going to see me pull out a few different things. Number one, I'm using drill brushes all the way here, and before I do anything, it's all a dry brush and a dry vacuum. The reason is I've got the Impossible carpeting here, and on the upholstery, we've got mostly leather, but on the cushion area on the back and right where the person sits, you've got suede. And because of that, I'm going to have to kind of watch what I'm doing here because the suede material in this Toyota Camry is a little bit more fragile than just your classic Impossible carpeting or modern kind of mesh tight weave upholstery. So I'm doing a dry brush and a dry vacuum here because of the Impossible carpeting, and because if I don't, I'm going to have a mess when I start to spray things here. Now, one of the most time-consuming parts of this detail is just the dry vacuuming here. The other tool that I would suggest in addition to what you see here is simply the Tornador, though I didn't have it with me in this particular scenario. The drill brushes do a really good job of kind of substituting what the Tornador would do, which is pull that stuff out from underneath that rat's nest of carpeting. And so if I put a medium stiffness cone or round drill brush on the end of my drill, I can again do what you see me doing here, pull all of that debris onto the surface of the carpet, come in afterwards with my vacuum and vacuum all of it up. Now, essentially what you're going to see me do here is switching between my drill brush, my spraying, my mopping up, and my extracting and steaming, depending if I'm working on the upholstery or if I'm working on the carpet itself. A couple of pointers here. Number one, after the dry vacuum, I'm going to spray, scrub, steam, and mop up. Spray, scrub, steam, and mop up. I'm not going to be using the extractor on the carpet. The simple reason for that is because even if there is a bunch of staining on the Impossible carpet like this, it is not going to come out with an extractor. There's no underneath layer. There's no interface. There's no sponge. There's nowhere where the stain is sort of wicking underneath. And because of that, the best thing I'm going to do with an extractor would be to introduce a bunch of water that makes my job even more difficult. The one thing that's kind of nice about the Impossible carpeting is that you don't have to extract it. It's really not going to make your life any easier. Steaming it, using an enzyme cleaner to pre-treat, and then a carpet shampoo on top is a great way to do it. Again, using something like an air compressor, drill brush, and light repeated applications are always what I suggest. Now, getting into the extraction here after I use the drill brush to agitate, I'm not using one of my heavier carpet shampoos like my DS2 cleaner or even my P&S carpet cleaning system, and the reason for that is because on this suede, I can use a very diluted form of an all-purpose cleaner that I like and get just the same results because the suede on the upholstery itself is not the biggest issue in the world. In other scenarios where I needed more power for the carpet or for the upholstery, I would use the 3-tier carpet cleaning from P&S, or I would use my DS2 carpet cleaner depending on how much extraction that I would need. If you guys want a full list of tools and products that I suggest on every area of the interior and exterior, go below in the YouTube description box, put your email in, grab the Pro Detailing Toolbox. It's a totally free resource, but it breaks things down in much more detail than I'm going to in this video. Those are the tools and products that I'm going to be using and why in this particular scenario. But what I want to get to here that I think is more interesting first is the type of package that we implemented here. In a situation like this, one of the biggest reasons why detailers start to kind of fumble on the phone is because it's not uncommon to have customers who have an absolutely disgusting car, and what ends up happening is you're going to quote a price to detail the entire interior that's going to be far above what they want to pay because basically they've got a disgusting car, and it's kind of an indication that they don't necessarily care about the car that much. But to get the whole thing done, the amount that you're going to have to do to make even a tiny bit of difference is going to cost the customer literally hundreds of dollars. And so one of the easiest ways to get around this issue of pricing the customer out of what they're willing to pay and not putting yourself in a scenario where you've lowered your price and yet you're spending 9 hours detailing an interior that needs 24 hours, but you're still spending 9 hours doing it, is to simply step off of some of the services that you would otherwise offer. Here's what I mean. In my experience, when you have a nasty interior like this, the primary areas of the interior that, if detailed, will make the biggest difference are, of course, what you see me doing in this video, which are the upholstery and the carpet. The other things that might be added here are dashboard, console, sort of like cup holder, radio area, but removing things like door panels altogether, removing things like door jambs, removing things like headliners. Often the headliner on cars hasn't been touched, even on nasty disaster details. Sometimes it has, but again, even if it has, it's not an area where a lot of people are concerned about or see. The opposite is true of the carpet and the upholstery. If I'm able to isolate the carpet and the upholstery and that becomes the entire interior job that I'm going to do, essentially what I've just allowed myself is a bunch of hours to dedicate just to these two things, and it's going to make a gigantic difference so that when the customer pays the $200 or $300 or whatever it is that you're going to charge for a detail like this, they are very clear of what they're getting on the front end. We're very clear about what services have been stepped off or taken off of the detail altogether. And this way, the customer actually feels like something happened. I promise there is nothing worse than having an interior detail package that somebody pays for and you kind of starting to lower the amount you detail certain areas because you've worked down the price. So this would be a situation where the customer says, oh man, my car's really nasty, but I don't want to pay $350. And you say, okay, well, we'll just get it done for $200 and we'll focus most of our energy here, here, and here and do less here, here, and here. What happens is here, here, and here, where you're supposed to be focusing less, starts to eat up your energy and attention because it's so nasty and so dirty. You and I as a detailer can't just leave it that way. And so we start detailing and detailing and detailing. And 9 hours later, we only charged for a $200 job. And the entire thing looks kind of because you didn't actually spend most of your energy in one particular area that would make the biggest difference to the customer. And so the customer's frustrated, you're frustrated, and it happens constantly. This is why I suggest stepping off of services rather than on the phone adding things and saying, oh, customer, you want this done? That's going to be an extra $50. Oh, we're going to put extraction in now? Okay, that's going to be an additional $100. Detailers often start to line item out the services and the prices that are going to be attached to it when a customer starts to ask for things that are more custom. And this is why I suggest always creating your packages where any interior or exterior detail package actually includes anything that is needed on any given interior to raise the level of perfection of that car to the highest level of perfection that's within the realm of possibility, so that when this happens, you can step off of services, step off of prices, and remove things rather than adding things. It actually makes the customer feel like they're getting more for their money rather than you stacking things on top of each other saying, oh, you want this? Okay, well, it's going to be this. Oh, you want this? Okay, it's going to be this. In addition to that, the second question is, how do I price for a job like this if I'm removing services? Because a lot of detailers will start to remove services, and because they don't have sort of a math equation already, like I said, preloaded before this conversation happens, they'll do things like remove door jambs or remove headliner or remove door panels, and they'll arbitrarily remove certain price tags off of the detail where they're still kind of screwing themselves because they're like, okay, well, I'm only going to do the upholstery and the carpet. Well, let's just remove, I don't know, $120 because that's all I'm going to do. And so let's bring it to $180 rather than a $300 job. Okay, $180 is what I'm going to charge you. Not only does this kind of create some distrust in the customer's mind because they can tell you're making it up, but secondly, it hurts you because you don't have a way to remove services and not linearly basically downgrade your prices. And so I'm not going to tell you guys exactly how to do this, but it's something that we teach in our private program because it's so helpful, and I call it the step-down pricing framework. It's really important for you as the detailer to be able to remove specific services from any given interior or exterior detail without linearly removing the price that would be originally associated with that particular job. So let me give you an example. Let's pretend like headliner normally takes, around an hour, and I want to be charged I want to be paid $50 an hour. And so if I remove the headliner, essentially I'm removing like a $50 part of the detail. Well, the problem with this is I'm still showing up, I'm still detailing, I'm still driving there, I'm still unloading all my stuff. And so if I just start removing whatever I think is exactly attached to that service from the price, I'm going to start really hurting myself because there are other baked in costs to running my business that don't go down linearly just because I'm not including something on the detail like headliner. So you need to figure out how you're going to remove certain parts from the price tag without removing them linearly. Ultimately, from a detailing business perspective, you can create the best packages and best pricing, but you are always going to get customers who are going to ask for specific things, and you do have to tailor those specific things to that customer in certain situations, and you need to have a preloaded way to do that so it doesn't take a bunch of time on the phone and you're not stumbling over your words when you do it. And this is a very easy way to do it. Like I said, removing entire services and focusing only what makes the biggest difference so that the customer actually feels like they're getting what they're paying for. And number two, creating what I call a step-down pricing framework where when you remove those things, you're not removing linearly the price that you would attach to it. You're actually removing less than that per service removed. Guys, like I said in the YouTube description box, if you want to get a full list of chemicals and tools that I suggest with discounts, with master dilution ratios, PDF explanations attached to all of them, video by video explanations on how to use them, it's called the Pro Detailing Toolbox. It's a totally free resource because I think every detailer should have the ability to have all that information in one place because the industry is so confusing. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, keep working hard and remember, a great detailer is always learning. And I'll see you in the next video.